Hello, welcome. Today I'm going to work on this Shimano Deore M531 rear derailleur. So nothing super interesting to say about this other than just the sheer length of the jockey wheel cage that also appears to look bent. I don't know if this is bent or if it's meant to be this way. I think it's bent. So I'm going to have to see if I can repair that. It's just ridiculously long. I haven't got a ruler with me, but yeah. Yeah, so I actually decided to go and get a ruler just quickly to have an idea of how long this was. So let's say, well, from here to here, 9.5 centimeters. Interesting. So we're going to dismantle this and then rebuild this derailleur. So let's get started. So let's begin by removing some of the small parts. Using a number 3, we can take off these bolts. Yeah, so the person I bought this from, it was really cheap anyway, so not a big deal. But now that I'm looking at it properly, I can see that it's not just this that's bent. This whole derailleur, you can see here, it's bent, and the rivets that are going through are no longer aligned with the parts. In fact, this was sticking out. I just pushed it back in, but it's also here that's clearly bent. It seems to be actually working still, but I don't know if I can bend that back as well. That's really annoying though. Feels like the seller kind of knew what was wrong with this and just sold it to me anyway. So we're going to remove the bolt and the jockey wheel cage. We're going to need a number 2 Allen key wrench to remove the small bolt that's located right here. We can now pull that out. That's bone dry. There's actually some oil at the back. We can remove this spring. Stuck. There you go. It was on the right side. There is a seal here though. We're going to take off now the bolt and the spring within the top knuckle. Just taking off the screw from here. So there's a seal here. Take out the spring. We can now push out the anchor bolt. There's another seal here. If you want, you can remove these. I'm not going to bother, as I can already see the derailleurs probably going to be going into the bin once I finish with this, most likely. Alright, so I'm going to give this a quick clean, and then I'm going to rebuild it. Usually I would more or less thoroughly clean it, but in light of the condition of this derailleur, it's not really fixable anymore. I mean, I could spend quite a lot of time on this, and I just don't think it's very much interesting for my time. Good news for me, the seller agreed to give me a refund. So for the video, we're going to rebuild this for the sake of it. So I'm not going to bother greasing this, as the derailleur's just to throw in the bin. I'll just keep the spare parts. Okay, so we're going to reinstall the seal and the spring and the pivot for the bottom knuckle. So we're going to put the seal first. You'll notice on this spring that there's one part that's slightly larger in diameter. So the spring here is going towards is inverted slightly. So the larger side is going to go into the actual knuckle part itself, and the other end is either going to go in one of these two holes, a left and a right. I'm going to put it onto the more tension side. Once you've done that, you turn this around, push down, you'll see it reaches that stopping part. Hold that in place. We're now going to grab the bolt that runs through here again, that holds essentially the pivot in place. You might want to push down against this to make sure it's a nice tight fit. We're then going to grab the number 2 Allen key wrench and screw down. Make sure it's nice and tight when you're doing it. Right, next part, there's another seal here. The part that's laying flat is going to go outside. This one's quite loose though, so I don't really think it makes much of a difference. For the spring, this one appears to be, I think, the longer part of that spring. The tip is going to go into the actual top knuckle, so we can aim for that now. There you go, it's inside, it's in place. Don't forget the seal on the other side. Now we can push the bolt through. On the other side, take this part, there's only one hole. We're gonna put it in to the put the other tip of that spring into that hole. Make sure it's in place. I don't think mine is. Next, grab a Allen key wrench number 2.5. We're going to tension that so that this can twist round, and we can now again push down so it holds onto the stopper. You can now let go. Hold this over your finger. Grab the clip. Okay, now you can let go. Grab the screw that's going to go into this part. And screw down. Leave that in the middle for now, that's good. So for the jockey wheels, this was another part actually that I didn't even notice. These are normally narrow Shimano. Can't remember how many teeth on these. But these are the ones you're supposed to have on here, and the seller given me clearly something that's from like an XT derailleur from the early 90s. That clearly would not go together. So anyway, we'll install that. Your one should have a another large jockey wheel that's going to be not the same size obviously, and it'll probably be written center on or G pulley. The G pulley goes on the top, so we can now screw that back on. Not too tight, as you want to be able to easily move this for the next part, for the next jockey wheel. And we can now screw that one in as well. I don't even think the back jockey cage is original. It looks weirdly out of place. You know what, this is bent. I can't even bother to force it in, so I'm just going to leave it in for the video. Your one hopefully won't be bent and hard to put in. So let's put the barrel adjuster back on. And finally the small little bits. Bish bash bosh. Right, well, in light that mine's completely bent and no longer usable, I hope this somehow helps you service your Deore M531 rear derailleur. Thank you for listening, and until next time, peace out.